Are you looking at the news headlines and thinking something dark and sinister is actually happening? You don't want to call yourself a conspiracy theorist, but what is happening? I've been in coercive control relationships and I've survived. I've reclaimed my life. You can reclaim your life too, but it starts with understanding the stages. And there are 8 stages of coercive control built on research, and you can follow along with them to see where you are and where this country is. I'm Tami Green. I've been in the mental health field for a long time as a life coach. Let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk about the first stage, love bombing. I call it baiting, but we also can call it love bombing. And we understand what love bombing is. It's this extra attention with gifts or praise or other things that make us feel really special. But what you don't understand is the whole strategy behind it. It's not just to hook you. It's not just to make you feel better in the moment or excited, though it does those things. Love bombing has a physiological and a psychological response to it that ties deeply into our needs as human beings. That people who are abusive in this manner, they know and they've learned since they were very young, and they've refined their gift on how to hook you. I've heard over and over right now from people that say, how did I fall for this? How did I fall for this individual? How could I have not seen it? I'm smart. How could I have not seen it in this political leader? How? It's because there is a very strong psychological tactic behind it, and it starts with love bombing. They are good at tying in to your vulnerabilities. So the first step for you in this road to recovery is understanding their tactics and understanding why you were vulnerable in the first place. I went through some therapy that was, I thought the therapy was about, let's validate the other person. It wasn't that at all. It was like, what's wrong with you? Like, what is it about you that you attracted this person? And I was like, yeah, thank you. Finally, this will help me have some power in the situation moving forward. So, yeah, you did not expect this to go this way with this nation, and you certainly didn't expect this relationship to be so horrible. Let's talk about what you can do where you're not going to be the prey anymore. You're going to be bigger than the predator, and they're not going to be able to like profile you or do surveillance on you to try to find out, can I manipulate that person? We talked about in the first in the series about how our democracy has gone down. I mean, it's plummeted in 1 year. Like nothing's happened like this in modern history. How much this country has changed in 1 year. It's just smacked us upside the head with it. And when I worked in DC, it was interesting because I worked for, again, looking back in this framework, a very coercive type foundation and methodology that tried to convince me that we were not a democracy, we should be a republic. That basically people were too dumb. The problem with that is it makes us victims. We need to educate ourselves. We need to not be vulnerable as people in this country. We need to, I'm sorry, you don't want to do it, but you got to research the news outlets. Are they propagandists? You know what? 99% are. You think yours isn't? It's that they can twist the truth for this reason, to make money. When I worked in DC, we were all about creating fear, and we loved it when the other party was in office, because you know what? We knew the money was going to rake in. And you know who our target was? Elderly people, because elderly people can be taken advantage of because they're afraid and they will give money. So Elderly people right now are the ones being taken advantage of the most, but not just them. There's all kinds of vulnerable populations. And so in the first stage of love bombed, it's all about that person, whether it be the leader of the country or the person in the interpersonal relationships or at your job or even a family member, looking at you and saying, how can I take advantage of that person? So they look at you, they see where you're afraid, they see your wound if you're a person, and they start saying things to you like, I see you. I see you like nobody's seen you before. I get you. There's all kinds of personalities that can do this. And so don't get so fixated on hearing out there it's this one personality. There's all kinds. They can seem very nice. They can seem very charismatic. They can seem mean, but the tactics are still the same. The feeling is, I'm finally seen. In the political arena, it's finding this disenfranchised or fearful group and saying, I gotcha. And they're like, finally, thank you. And in the interpersonal, they make you feel special. They make you feel like they're going to take care of you. In my case, really doing this research, and trust me, I went back into family of origin and like, where did this even come from? I was a caretaker. My parents neglected me. I took care of them. Wait a second. Wouldn't someone like this go for someone like that? I didn't even realize it was part of my persona. Yes. Let's go for her. She wants to take care of me. I'm like, yeah, sign me up for that. Oh my goodness. So in this case, they would start off by saying, I see you. You're such a giving person. That must be so hard. They validate whatever that part of you is quickly. Does that mean they care about it? Mm-mm. Does that mean the political leader cares about that thing that they're naming that you're afraid of? Think about all the stuff a political leader would say. You're afraid of not having money. You're afraid of not having health care. You're afraid the minorities are going to take over. There's arguments on both sides that they're going to make you feel afraid of. What's that vulnerability? They're going to take advantage of it. Let's not believe the parties. Let's not believe the media. Let's learn how to trust ourselves here. They don't start with physical violence and they don't start with overt demands. Like you just think about in a political campaign, they're not asking you for anything. They're giving to you. And at first, in these interpersonal relationships, they're giving to you. It can be money, gifts, time. They could give you advice, promises of promotions, promises to help you with your career. There's all kind of things that they're going to give to you. But what it is bait. They want you to take the bait. Here it is. I'm giving you this, like you're the little fish. And as soon as you take that bait, they pull it back. When they pull it back, they stop doing that thing. Pull it back because they gotcha. And it's a little series at first of just gotcha a little bit, gotcha more. And that's where the stages come in that I'm going to go over in this series. I've been coaching for a long time. I've been helping people reclaim their lives after this. And what I've been seeing in this country has made it imperative that I get back on this channel and start educating people. It's the same thing. And this is what I like about the stages that I've come up with on this living map. It's this parallel between personal and national coercive control. So if you're seeing it in the national, you can start seeing it in the personal. If you've seen it in the personal, you'll be like, that's what's happening in the national. We're going to talk a little bit about what love bombing feels like, and then I'm going to give you a framework for how to stop it. And a little bit at the end that's really powerful on how to reclaim your life, no matter what stage you're in. Love bombing is a targeted, strategic campaign. They talk to you a little bit. They learn what you want, and what it feels like is the best ever. This is a hit to your system that feels amazing. In politics, when I worked in DC, We had a think tank that did research all the time on finding the political groups which we could go after. So it was a targeted campaign. And this is not proprietary to one side of the aisle. They're looking at who's their constituency, who can they go after, and their message, if they're good, and trust me, there's a lot that aren't good right now, and they're not doing so well. The best politicians, the best political strategists know what to say to hook the people. Now, I want you to feel like, wait a second, is their behavior consistent? Because this feels good. I feel like they understand me. And at first, it feels like very intense. So the first stage is intensity. It's going to feel extremely intense and it's going to move very, very fast. And the reason they want it to move fast is because your brain has less time to process it. And as we get into the stages, they just throw more and more confusing stuff at you. So it's really your brain. The name of the game is your brain completely gets hijacked in this. That's why this is so important. The second is strategic mirroring. This is where they love everything you love. They love it. We're the same. We're the same. I've never had anyone, we have so much in common. You feel seen. Oh, they're the same as you. Because most people want someone that's going to be a partner that gets them. But I'm telling you, y'all, and romantic partners, you're going to have a lot in common, but they're not going to get you like this. They're not going to be your soulmate. They are not. They're people, you're people. That's not the vetting. Okay. The third thing is isolation. And this one really gets me fired up because one person I was with was extremely good at isolation. Isolation at first does not feel like they took you and they put you in a cage and isolated you. It feels like you want to spend all your time with them. So you're going on trips, you're talking on the phone, they're texting, you're calling in personal relationships. In work, you're having more meetings, you're having strategy sessions, you're having lunch together. At first, it starts like you're just spending more time together, but it's a tactic to isolate you. And again, this is all psychological manipulation because you feel like, okay, isn't that a natural stage of love where you want to bond with a person? This is different. This is different. And it's going to take you some practice to be like, what is what here? On the national scale, I'm going to put up some news clips right now. It's unbelievable the isolation this country has gone through in a year. And some of the things that seem like they may even be benevolent are in your favor are strategic to isolate you as a nation. So you are only taking your cues from that person. That's the only person that can save you because there's no one else. And in my situation, the isolation was more insidious than this because they went behind the scenes and they turned my support system against me. They knew my faults and they knew how to turn these other people against me. I didn't even know what was going on. Believable. At the end of the day, I was completely isolated. I had no one to help or defended me. And yet I got out of it. And I am going to, come hell or high water, teach you guys how to get out of this too and be stronger than ever and rebuild your life. The last element, part 4, is naming your wound. They're very, very good at seeing. Again, this is coercive control. They're coercing you. They're baiting you in order to control you. And feeling understood, this is one of the biggest hooks of all. When they say things like, your ex took advantage of your pure heart, didn't they? Or those other people in that other group, they've harmed you or they're after you. So they're naming what they can tell is already something that's really going to make you feel affection, attraction, and attachment to them. It's all about them hooking us into this attachment. And then it becomes a trauma bond. I'm going to read this research for you. Evan Stark pioneered uh, clinical research on coercive control. He described it as a framework of domination that operates not through physical violence initially, but through isolation, surveillance. They're watching you, watch you, watch you, watch you, watch you. Oh my gosh. Personally and in the country, they're watching you. And the systematic erosion of your own autonomy, your ability to provide for yourself, your ability to think for yourself, your dependence on them. And it all begins right there with an experience that feels like the best romance of your life, or this hero that's going to finally save you. Something I want to add about the national manipulation is this thing where humans have evolved for very important reasons to have a tribal mentality. I think this is one of the biggest areas of our vulnerability because we don't have communities like we used to. We don't live multi-generationally. We move and things like that. And yet we need tribes. It's really important to have a community that supports us and feel understood and the same as this tribe. Now, I'm all for diversity and I'm very open-minded and inclusive. And also, my nervous system needs a little group of people that I feel safe and supported with. You can go home to these people. They're like you. So you can be both. You can be open. Well, I'll just give you an example. You can be open to all races or cultures or economic, all these different variables. But then you come home to yours that does things this way. It's a natural part of nervous system regulation, working together as a tribe. And these authority figures use this on a national level to get us versus them mentality. It's the tribe. We're the tribe. You feel you belong here. I'm going to give you something else that's really good research. In 2023, researcher Osborne and colleagues published Authoritarian Appeal and the Susceptibility to Manipulation. That's what I'm talking about. The findings were striking. The exact psychological profile that makes an individual vulnerable to love bombing in a relationship, uncertainty of self, a narrative of unhealed grievance, and a need for external validation is the exact profile that makes a citizen vulnerable to political gaslighting and authoritarian appeal. Why was I vulnerable to coercive control? Why is a country vulnerable? Why are you vulnerable to coercive control? What is it about you that you can change so you'll be bulletproof? So I had to do this research on myself, or I had to give some thought on myself of these areas. And basically, I was really neglected. I didn't have skills. I didn't have education. I really needed someone to rescue me. I needed support. I needed someone to mentor me. I needed help. And because I started here, if this person looked like they were there and could teach me something or do something for me, I was like, yes, thank you. I'm going towards that. Bingo. Narcissistic abuse starts there. We are attracted to narcissistic traits in this country. Narcissists are bulletproof. They're better. They know more. They're more special. And I was like, yeah. I was like, why am I always attracted to narcissists? That's why. Because they know more, because they are more. They have more power. They can get me these places. No, you're going to build them in yourself. Does that mean we don't need support, mentorship, all these things? We need that, but it needs to be safe. It needs to be reciprocal, and it needs to not be coercive, and it needs to not be controlling. So the love bomber arrives with this extreme intensity. perfect mirroring. And then they say, I see you, I get you. And your nervous system lights up and says, yes, this is wonderful. That's what love feels like. Oh my gosh, our leader, I'm going to put this up. Our leader recently said something about another leader. We fell deeply in love. And it was a slip because their cognitive abilities are slipping, but it's the same feeling. He was reaching for the words. It's the same feeling. This isn't love, though. It's the beginning of a trauma bond. And this guy's research that I'm going to tell you in a minute on trauma bonding was revolutionary to me. I'm going to read it. Dr. Patrick Carnes, author of The Betrayal Bond, describes a trauma bond as a psychological attachment formed through intermittent reinforcement. A love bomber can't stay in stage one forever. What they do is they give you intermittent rewards. So I'm going to give you this reward, then I'm going to abuse you. Give you this reward, abuse you. In and out, not at regular intervals. So it's one of the most psychologically abusive tactics because they hook you. I'm working with a child right now whose parent does this with them, and they want their parents' love so much. And so right when this child is at complete despair, the parent will be like, oh, I'm going to do this thing for you because I love you. And they're like, oh, love me. It's this intermittent. So they keep them controlled. What I want you to learn for yourself in this is to watch for consistencies. The way these people treat other people, the way they talk about other people, the way they conduct themselves in business. If they scammed someone else, they will scam you. If they've had criminal activity over here, they will have criminal activity with you. If they lie to other people, they will lie to you. If they call other people names, they will call you names. They are consistent across the board. Look for consistencies. If it's inconsistent, if they make you feel like you're special, they would never do those things. You're the only one. It's you and me, kid. And those people are our enemies. They're going to act the same way in both ways. So don't go for the intermittent reward. Don't go for your special. Look, are they consistent in all things? And this really takes some mental thought, and it takes some time. It really takes some time. In personal relationships, I had a new friend, and I really liked this friend, and yet they didn't follow through on anything with these other people. And they didn't follow through with me either, which ultimately is the reason I didn't want them to be my friend. But had I really looked for these consistencies across the board, I'd be like, yeah, why are they going to give it to me? Of course not. They're not going to do it. What are the consistencies? What do they do out there? Political leader, have they been convicted for a crime? They're a criminal. Have they incited violence? They're going to incite violence. It is what it is. This has been the first stage, but we're going to go through the 8 stages of coercive control in the series. And it's really important that you know them so you can identify where you are or where your country is. This is going to give you so much clarity. So here's the stages briefly, but the series is going to go into them. The first one we talked about today is being baited. It's love bombing and just like surveilling for you, naming your wounds, giving you all these treats, making you feel special. The second stage doesn't take long. It's captured. And so they pull the hook back. They got you. And this is where they start micro testing your boundaries. They give you tests like, will she put up with this? Oh, that means she'll put up with more. Or he. They start criticizing your support system. In nations, they just bypass those checks and balances and see if you're going to do anything about it. They don't care about the law. They just do it. Are you going to do anything about it? Ooh, you're captured. The third stage is isolated. We're going to go through this. Our country's so isolated right now. They have to isolate you so they can control you. The fourth stage is escalation. This is where it gets more and more intense, and you can like break up with them, or you could start questioning authority, and it's some kind of pivot point, and it shatters this illusion, this nervous system in such not in these little ways that kept us coming back. It's a big way. And when that happens, what do you think they're going to do? They know how to get you back. So they're going to love bomb you. So the next stage of stage 5 is the honeymoon phase. And you're going to think, because of this intermittent reward, oh my God, finally they grew up. Or, oh my gosh, that first 90 days of this presidency is over. Now things are going to settle down. That's the honeymoon phase. But guess what happens after that? They escalate. It escalates even more. These patterns, research-based, do not stay minimal. They escalate. They get worse and worse. And I've seen this in our country, whereas things have continued to get worse and worse, we've started to push back a little bit. And that's stage 7. It's the recovery phase. It's when you start, as an individual, you go to therapy, you start talking to people about it. And trust me, lots of people won't talk about it to very many people because they don't feel safe. But you do start talking about it, you start researching it. There's a lot of things you can start doing in the recovery phase. There's a lot America's doing right now. In the recovery phase, we're starting to do things like this podcast, right? As an example. And the last stage, stage 8, is rebuilding your life. It's reconnection. And that's very fun. So how do you get from all this over to stage 8? And there's a little simple formula that I'm going to give you for this, and you're going to use it, and it's going to be your salvation, and it's going to be your blueprint. This is the blueprint to rebuild your life. My book, Control the Future, you can get it on Amazon if you want, it has a basic formula, and that is basically whatever your past was, the opposite will be your future. And so what you're going to do is you're going to start to think of every vulnerability that you had that left you as prey. And you're going to be like, I had low self-esteem. Then you're going to think about what the opposite that you've learned. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have high self-esteem. I was vulnerable because I was financially dependent. I'm going to make myself financially independent. In a country, you could be like, I'm tired of media propaganda. We're going to have a free press. So you're just going to use this for every aspect of your life. And then this is how you're going to have a blueprint for, okay, we're here, but this is where we want to go. And it also helps you if you feel disheartened. If you feel like, I don't know how I got here, I don't know how I'm going to get out. And the more intense you feel negative emotion about your situation, just remember, now you can feel intense positive emotion by starting to envision the opposite and working towards it. I'm a life coach, y'all. We're going to have so much on rebuilding your life and building your dream life here. That's a little bit about the first stage. We're going to go in through all the stages. Take a look at the map, see where you are, get some understanding, work on envisioning a new future. You're going to spend a lot of time understanding how this happened. You're going to spend a lot of time understanding their tactics and understanding yourself more. And there's nothing better than that. Stay tuned. Next time, we're going to go into stage 2, captured. Okay? Until then, bye. Say bye.
Bye.
See ya.